Sé Robert a Cartlach mish as Bavalia musaldige de Shiaght Laa. Hello, I'd like to welcome you to Shiaght Laa. And in Shiaght Laa this week, on Shiaght Laa Chir Shaw, Care de Chosna Cowra, a chance to earn a badge at all levels of guiding and scouting, and that's for the Manx language. We hear about that from Ruth, Keggin, Gell of Culture Vannin. As Del Yor no Chlowich, and two newly published books, about which we hear from author Sara Goodwins and photographer George Hobbs of Loaghtan Books. This is the time of year when Culture Vannin invites nominations for the island's highest cultural award, the Rai Blina Vannin, Manannan's Choice of the Year, for outstanding contributions to Manx culture and heritage. Anyone is welcome to make a nomination, and the nomination can be in respect of an individual or of a group. Previous group awards have been made to the Manx Folk Dance Society, the Bunskoil Rilgach, to Michael Players. Predominantly, though, the award is made to an individual, perhaps for a vital contribution in a particular area, but often enough for the breadth of achievement across a spectrum of cultural activities. You can read and download the full rules and guidance notes for nominations at the Culture Vannin website, which is culturevannin.im. Culture Vannin, all one word, culturevannin.im. You'll also find a nomination form to explain what it is about this person or group that makes it particularly appropriate to be the recipient of the award. The closing time and date for nominations is midday on Tuesday the 2nd of December. Culture Vannin coordinates the award, with nominations being put before a panel of representatives of various Manx cultural organisations, and there'll be a formal announcement of the recipient in January. Individuals or groups who are recognised as Rai Blina Vannin are entitled to use the initials RBV after their name. There's a trophy with a bronze sculpture of Manannan by Eric Ostwick, which is mounted on a stone plinth. And there's a special stand to support the whole trophy, which has plaques showing the names of all those who have been recognised. The recipient also receives a medal designed by Jenny Kissack, enamelled in Celtic designs with the Manx national colours and the letters RBV inset in a silver shield at the centre. In addition to receiving a personal award, an award is also made to a Manx cultural cause of the recipient's choice. So this is your opportunity to nominate an individual or group to be recognised by the award of the Rai Blina Vannin. You have until midday on Tuesday the 2nd of December to send in your nomination, and all the information can be found on the Culture Vannin website, culturevannin.im. Officier sy Cheshire Chagi Roldach for Robert Baden-Powell, by Harchi Jegus 3 feet as Shea, gus Naichi Jegus Jai. As vi Goilarn ons Avrich en Kagi ons Ninja as in Africa. Henke de vi Maier ens on an overegge ons Mafeking, treven Balje na Grunjige jorish na boren, Shiaght me. Gouds voor Baden-Powell sy Cheshire Chagi, Renny skrew ljoren, de insige spikeres skrailtes son saiduren. Ach van al joren sjogel eljai nies gillian, as eg fierinsi slaelje voor kolchoneltrish potteren de laiege. Vain vlein naichi jeg Shiaght, ren Baden-Powell prowlus jena eienegge mechion trainel gillian on skrailtes. Ach heg nienen jeskus na kampen as na chaglemanegge, as dinshad de Baden-Powell, de rawad giri ginu na ridden cheden as na gillian. Ze blein naichi jeg as jai, hug Baden-Powell erbun, a Boy Scouts Association, as hug erbun yes, a Girl Guides Association. As vrije jen huregge Agnes de sture shen, as na san me henke ven chesje egge, Olive Baden-Powell, de goilar on genius as de sture. Robert Baden-Powell's ideas about the scouting and guiding movement originated from a military viewpoint, but the sorts of manoeuvres and practices involved as training exercises were enjoyable in themselves and were appreciated by successive generations of youngsters. From the formation of the Boy Scout and Girl Guide associations in 1910, badges were designed to show skills and achievements in various activities. Over time, the structures of the associations has adapted to include different age ranges, and the badges have evolved to include a wide range of proficiency areas, of activities and challenges, in line with the changing interests and needs of young people. And this is an area in which Ngrenida, Culture Vannin's Manx Language Development Officer, Ruth Keggin Gell, has been working, as she explained to me. And Grenada, Ruth Keggin Gell, busy as you've been with the Coosh and with the launch of Blaine the Gilga, you still found time for another initiative. So how did that come about, and how can people get involved with it?
Well, the initiative is a new badge for all girl guiding and scouting units in the Isle of Man, but also beyond as well. So anywhere in the world can technically take part, because there's a designated web page with loads and loads of resources, and I created a handbook for it. And the idea came about because of a friend, Ruth, in Wales, and she was telling me that they have a brownie guide badge for the Welsh language over there. I have not actually seen the handbook for it, because I'm not a leader for brownies or guides or anything like that, and you normally need to be a leader to be able to access all these handbooks. But I thought, what a great idea. I think someone should do that for Manx. And so I thought, what a good idea for the Year of the Manx Language. So this badge is running from the autumn of 2025, but then going through till September 2026 as well. And so there's 1,200 children who are involved in scouting and girl guiding in the Isle of Man. But the idea is also, as I say, that they could potentially do it outside of the Isle of Man. And so I'd really like to see units in Wales and Scotland and Ireland and other places who are used to language learning as well, taking part and gaining the badge.
So how will the guides and scouts then take part in this to earn the badge?
Well, each guiding or scout unit in the Isle of Man, so between the ages of 4 and 18, so it's open to rainbows and beavers, cubs and brownies, guides, rangers, scouts and explorer scouts, so all of the different age groups will have access to one session with a Manx speaker. And so we've got Manx speakers who are also teachers ready and raring to teach different units. And what they go in and do is a lot of activities where this fun and learning is at the centre of those. So it's not really like school activities. We're trying to keep it a little bit more light-hearted and fun than that, because of course it's an after-school club, it's social, and for me it was really important as well to create opportunities for young people to access and have fun with Manx outside of a school environment. So they get one session, and then that should fortify, hopefully, the leaders and the young people with some of that vocabulary and give them the confidence to then carry on and do some learning themselves. Now, there are lots and lots of videos and sound files and supporting documents that I've created, which are all on this designated webpage, which is learnmanx.com/badge. So things like songs, which are part of the challenges, I've not only made sure that we've got sound recordings of those, but I've also made sure that we've got videos of those. So it might show the actions, but for also those who might be hard of hearing, then it's important for them to be able to see my lips maybe making the sounds of the words. And I think it's also just trying to help widen accessibility, really. So there's a 43-page handbook that I made, and it's beautifully illustrated by Vicky Webb of Crumpets and Crab Sticks, and she's done a beautiful job and created loads of flashcards and different supporting resources at the back, and that's available to download as well. My hope is that people, not just in girl guiding and scouting, will be able to just use it too, maybe at home, just to pick up a bit of Manx and try some of those activities out with their children, or just, if they're big kids themselves, try those. But the whole thing couldn't have taken place if we hadn't had some funding from the Douglas Rotary Club. So we're hugely grateful to them for seeing the merit in the idea and seeing, hopefully, that it will help a different part of the community. For which I think, with the girl guiding and scouting movements, they haven't been sort of as connected with the Celtic languages in the past, and it's got quite a sort of I would dare to say, colonial kind of background, really, or that sort of Baden-Powell sort of setting it up. And I think that they're doing amazing work now with like massive inclusivity and accessibility, and it's brilliant to see where guiding and scouting is going. And I think it's fantastic that they are really celebrating the different Celtic languages, and Manx is a new one of those. So for the badges.
Now, you mentioned the various different levels of scouts and guides that exist. So how is it going to work on levels?
You do get a lot of, I mean, I don't know about every single badge because, as I say, I'm not a guide leader, but I do know that you have brownie-specific badges, for example, guide-specific badges, rainbow-specific badges, and same within scouting as well. So you've got these badges that are appropriate for those age groups, and you tend to find like brownies, for example, I think is age 8 to 10. So you know, you've got that 2-year age range, and you'll get sort of, say, skills badges that are designed for brownies. But I knew that Biosphere had created a badge which was for all girl guiding units and then all scouting units from age 4 to 18. And I knew that could be done. And I thought, well, I've taught from age, well, I've taught from toddler age for music, certainly, and, you know, right through to I teach adults now, and I know that I can differentiate my teaching. So I thought, well, I'm just going to try this and see how it goes. And the feedback so far has been like, yeah, the age range that I've put at the start for the activities has been really, really helpful. I also put how long I think each activity will take, and then very, very clear instructions and resources that they might need as well. And a lot of those things are things that people can do without resources as well. So they're things like, you know, you can do things like to do with numbers through singing and using your fingers, for example. And I've tried to say, well, actually, could you learn a bit of British Sign Language as well and learn numbers 1 to 10? Because you can just use that with one hand with British Sign Language. And then you're incorporating 2 languages together, then Manx and British Sign Language. And then you also think, well, actually, some of the challenges that we'd be doing within that badge may also overlap into another challenge that the brownies or guides or whatever could gain from it, because very often, for example, brownies have got a skills badge, which is for languages. So they might also be able to earn part towards a skills badge by doing the Manx language badge as well. So there was a bit of thinking creatively and also just thinking like outside the box going on as well, and thinking how could this all tie in. One of the themes for next year for the Year of the Manx Language is young people and families as well. And I really want to find, you know, that was one of the things I wanted to do, is find ways that outside of school young people could engage with Manx, because I don't teach in school. I teach adults now. And there are obviously the peripatetic team who go around and Department of Education, Sport and Culture and do a great job. The Bunskull Gilgach next door to us in Culture Vannin who are in there doing their Manx medium school. So there is lots of children going through school learning Manx, but I think it's really important as well to create those spaces outside of school where they can use Manx. Well, what happens is there's 3 sections to the handbook, or 3 sections to the badge. The first one is greetings, introductions and feelings. The second one is numbers. And the third one is likes and dislikes and different types of food and drink in Manx. And then what I've done is throughout the handbook, I've gone through and made about 10 to 12 different activities per section. And I've sort of said, this is what age group I think could deal with this particular activity. Some of them are much more geared up for little ones. For example, one of the activities might be to learn a song, Moramai Kissed How, fast, you know, things like that, which is definitely not something you'd probably find a 15 or 16-year-old wanting to sing. So some of them are definitely geared up for younger students or younger people. Some of them are definitely geared up for older girl guiding or scouts. But there are some that would be all age appropriate. And what happens is, out of those sort of 10 to 12 activities per section, the guiding leaders and their Manx language person who comes in and delivers a session will between them decide which activities are most appropriate. And they have to do 9 activities in total to gain the badge over the 3 sections, so 3 in one section, so 3 different activities for greetings, introductions and feelings, 3 for numbers, and then 3 for likes, dislikes and food and drinks. So I try to do it where there's all sorts of differentiation involved, so you can really look at your unit and you can see what their strengths are and play to those a bit. But you can also look at them and think, right, okay, they're not going to be able to cope with 1 to 20 because they're maybe rainbows. Let's just do 1 to 10, and that's fine. And do some activities that are based about doing 1 to 10 and Manx instead, but challenge those older ones by doing more numbers. And if they've got a really, really capable group, then why not sort of expand out and do telling the time? So there's even the opportunity to take your learning further. Because I'm a secondary trained teacher, and I've had a lot of experience in teaching primary as well and early years, I tried to put that knowledge into what I was doing. But also I went through guides myself. I went through rainbows and brownies and guides, and so I know the kind of structure of a unit meeting. I know the sorts of things that they like doing. And so it's really nice for me as a former girl guide to go back and sort of inject a little bit of what I love doing now, and also a bit of my personality into creating a badge on behalf of Culture Vannin and with the support of Douglas Rotary Club. And I've been so fortunate to work with Sue Simpson, who's the Island Commissioner for Girl Guiding, and also Felicity Wood, who's well known obviously as an illustrator, and she's also a primary teacher, but she and her whole family are involved in guiding and scouting. And both Sue and Felicity were absolutely marvellous when it came to giving me advice in terms of just putting it all together. So I want to say a big thank you to everybody.
Ruth Keggin, Gell, Goodwins.
Goodwins.
And Grenier Ruth Keggin, Gell, and the opportunity now to earn a proficiency badge in respect of the Manx language, and something that's applicable not just to youngsters in the island, but worldwide. Tan goed smooth the life feathen de wel atjes seveach vis cororru munga na gerachti. Ta custa lai gois soilja jay cliggen jou cramp, as the pechen ege feathen eishach de higgle atjes corpoil on show punches Judy nuns cartoon. Ta pert the lai genu spotchen ons foglen, trud corkunta gier jay riddenach. Ach shen the liar slaelia tiggle na vis tachert vain chunta shen, vain a foglen shen, de higgle en atjes ton. Foddy na wel a tiggle de wel peach enjach gino image crejoilish, de chremme peach enjach, de steed enjach. As me vis at clash en kunta feich shen, gin tiggle de wel grinderis on, skasolach nach ginnad fedden spotcher be, na veg de chororru munga na gera. Te chartans de spotchen gin image foglen, na shien en jay foglen, odders wij een diggel ons na smoene onacht, maar zo ons onacht had kielach, ach ons acht elje, tad cruise steed visach. Shen de mennik en acht les spotchen ons poltig en nullig, as de jaru shen corlession gestuig de nachelor te zijn. There are 2 very disparate books that have just been published by Machel-based Loaghtan Books. I went to Machel to find out more from photographer George Hobbs, but first from the author and 4th Manx bard, Sara Goodwins.
We have recently published the Little Book of Manx Jokes, which came about because mostly Manx in Douglas produce their own crackers with a Manx theme. They've got Manx tartan on the outside and Manx gifts in the middle. And we were given some of these last Christmas, and they're very good, but they didn't have mottos in them. So I said to Suzanne, well, no Manx jokes. You know, they're very good crackers, but no Manx jokes. And she couldn't think of any. So foolishly, I said, well, I'll have a go at thinking of a few, and I came up with some, and she and her husband read them and thought they were quite funny. And then she said, well, why don't you produce, do a lot more and produce a little book of jokes? And that's how it came about, really. and foolishly we agreed. And so it's just a bit of fun for Christmas, really. And we hope that visitors might like it as well. But they're all clean. I had to clean up my husband's jokes or leave them out. But it is family friendly. And as I say, it's just a bit of a giggle, really.
And the second book is something that people will recognise because it's another in a series that you've had running for some time now.
Well, the second book is Douglas Past and Present, Volume 1. We've done a number of these, as you know. There's been one on Ramsey, Castletown, Port Erin and Peel. And we avoided doing Douglas because it's so big. And it was a worry because we thought, well, it can't leave things out, or at least we'd rather not leave things out. And there's an awful lot of material. So do we do one huge book, or do we do a smaller book and leave stuff out? And eventually we thought, well, we'll do 2 volumes. They're not split geographically because it doesn't work. We thought about that, but splitting it sort of north, south, east, west, it just doesn't work. So we've done it on topic, almost. There's, for example, in Volume 1, there's quite a lot about the cable tramways, past old pictures with modern, what it looks like now. And Volume 2 won't have so much about the cable tramways. It'll have a couple of pictures so that people don't miss out. So we've tried to do it like that. And they've been planned very much together. But being such a small business, we couldn't bring them out together because there wasn't time. So we've done Volume 1 now, and Volume 2 will be out hopefully early summer next year.
George Hobbs, you've been engaged in bringing the photographs up to date, as it were, the comparison between what was there and what's there now. But were there any particular striking places? Because Douglas must have developed a lot in the time.
Well, it's not just that. It's the fact that Douglas is always developing. And one particular example was where the Villiers Hotel is. No, it's Peveril Hotel, beg your pardon, opposite the sea terminal. I thought, right, good, got the lighting, got the picture I need, here's the new building, matches the old, perfect. And then somebody put up a new lamp standard with the 3 legs on it, and I think, we're about to go to press. I need a new photograph of what it is now, because when it says past and present, present is actually a slot in time, but not very far away. But it's got to be as up-to-date as it possibly can be. One of the other difficulties in particular was to do harbour area, because in the old days there were no restrictions on it at all. You could walk anywhere, you got off the boat, you had no problems. A lot of the area now is actually restricted access. So I needed to get permission from the harbour security authorities and had a specially guided tour to all the bits that you're not allowed to walk around anymore. But that was very useful indeed for taking pictures of the south side of the harbour, places like the Loaghtan Hotel, as it was. And again, to get the good picture of that, you need to be there very early in the morning. So I was up very bright and early one morning and got there and had the guided tour, courtesy of the harbour authorities.
Were there particular things in the narrative about the history and the background that surprised you?
I think the thing that surprised me most was just how much Douglas has changed. I wasn't I mean, in past and present books that we've done before, there have been quite a lot of things that have changed, but quite a lot that has actually stayed the same, and 1 or 2 things have been improved. With Douglas, it was very difficult to find almost anything that had stayed the same. I mean, for example, we've got an aerial shot of the promenade leading into the port, and John Warnham very kindly did us another aerial shot, and looked at that and I thought, well, the only thing that's the same is the flower beds, which rather surprised me. All the buildings are different. Some have been replaced on the same footprint, but the port area is all different, and the Peveril Hotel's gone, and the Villiers Hotel is gone, and the promenade's been widened, and the only thing that we could actually match was that the flower beds are the same and the same shape, which really surprised me. You wouldn't think flower beds would be the most enduring thing. I did slightly mourn for some of the magnificent buildings that have been lost, which are a shame. But at the same time, there have been things like some of the old hotels have been turned into apartments. And the building might look the same from the outside. It's probably not the same at all in the inside, but from the outside, it looks very similar or the same. But it was quite difficult finding anything that was the same to talk about, which was quite unusual. I wasn't expecting that. There's one thing that did surprise me. There's another thing that did surprise me about Douglas. It's fascinating how much you learn when you're trying to do the research of this. I hadn't realised just how much of the port area is on reclaimed land. The old photographs are showing sort of sea and I think it's called the Circus Beach, I think, and all of that is now car park and loading area for the docks. And again, that surprised me. I didn't know that before I started doing the research on it.
What's the timescale now on Volume 2 coming out?
Oh dear. Volume 2 will be out as quickly as possible. So it'll probably be early summer. I'd be guessing round about May. But please don't ring me up in May and say, where is it? Because, it will be as soon as we can do it.
But in the meantime, of course, that gives us plenty of time to enjoy the contents of Volume 1. So where will people be able to get hold of a copy of it?
Well, it's available actually in quite a lot of places on the island. In Douglas itself, the book company's got it, mostly Manx has got it. Bridge Bookshop in Ramsey and Port Erin, the Manx National Heritage, they've all got copies. The House of Vannin has got it in Peel. And there are a number of other smaller gift shops who've actually got copies as well.
Well, Sara Goodwins, George Hobbs, good mind on it.
Chez the Vey.
Sara Goodwins and George Hobbs of Loaghtan Books, and their two new publications, The Little Book of Manx Jokes, which is available at £4.95, and Douglas Past and Present, Volume 1, which is based around Ray Stanfield's extensive collection of old postcards, and they're matched with the modern photographs of George Hobbs, with the explanatory text and captions from the research of Sara Goodwins. And that's available now at £16.95. Ach Sinead by Shiaght Laa here show. But that's it from Shiaght Laa this time. So from me, Marceau von Bean, Robert de Karslach, Sledniat.